이번 연도는 좀 엄청 많이 했거든요, 연습을. 본선으로 이어진 것 같아서 좋아요. 운보다는 실력으로 올라가려고 엄청 노력했어요.
그 이사를 했어요. 이사를 하고 레니가 요즘 너무 아팠어가지고 연습도 잘 못하고 제가 좀 고생을 좀 많이 했어요.
코로나 걸리면은 이제 대회도 못 나가니까 집에만 있어요.
해외에서 워낙 잘 못 먹다 보니까 운동도 안 하고 잘 안 먹어가지고 살이 좀 빠진 것 같아요.
많이 힘들었어요. 왜냐면 음식도 안 맞고 잠자리도 불편했고 그다음에 체력적으로 좀 많이 부담이 돼가지고
그냥 좀 아쉽긴 했는데 너무 험하게 져서 실력적으로 제가 밀린다고 생각을 한 선수한테 진 거라서 딱히 뭐 크게 충격은 없었던 것 같아요.
카토비체 때는 제가 확실히 마음을 좀 편하게 먹고 간 게 어차피 떨어질 텐데 진짜 마음 편하게 하고 오자 하니까 생각보다 게임도 잘 되고 긴장도 잘 안 하고 항상 GSL은 그게 안 되더라고요. GSL은 아무래도 한국에서 하는 경기이기도 하고 제가 데뷔한 대회이기도 하잖아요. 그래서 더 중요도가 높아가지고 그래서 더 긴장을 많이 하는 것 같아요.
연습하는 거 치면은 4강은 바라보고 있는데 그래도 오랜만에 오프라인이다 보니까 걱정이 되긴 해요.
성적은 시간이 지날수록 잘 내고 있기 때문에 이번 년에는 더 잘 낼 수 있을 것 같아요.
열심히 한 만큼 기쁨이 나오는 것 같아서 진짜 진지하게 한번 기뻐하고 싶어요.
이번 연도 4강에 올라갈 수 있을까요? 즐기는 것 또한 잊지 마라. 게임을 너무 압박받지 않고 즐기면서 하면 올라갈 수 있다고 하는 것 같네요.
GSL이 내년도 계속될 수 있을까요? 또 기다려라. 딱 네 글자나 기다려라. 기다려라니까 뭐가 있으니까 기다리라는 거 아니겠어요? 그냥 긍정도 부정도 아닌 것 같아요.
이번 시즌에 우승을 할 수 있을까요? 굳은 결의는 좋은 결과를 가져다 줄 것이다. 맞는 말인 것 같아요. 왜냐면 이제 마음가짐이 되게 중요하기 때문에 되게 맞는 말이라 약간 자신감 생기는데요. 이번 시즌에 박영우 선수와 이병렬 선수를 이길 수 있을까요? 최선의 결정을 내리기 위해서는 침착해라. 제가 또 질 때 좀 많이 급했거든요. 맞는 말인 것 같아요.
제가 이번 시즌에 우승을 할 수 있을까요? 안심하고 믿어라. 느낌이 좋은데요? 군대 몸 안 다치고 제가 잘 생활할 수 있을까요? 수고할 만한 가치가 있다? 이거 다 좋은 말 아니에요? 될 놈 되는 거 이게?
Today's matchup. Ro. Nightmare. ByuN. Zoun. Most competitive 1 versus 1 game. Africa TV Freak Up Studio Live 2022 GSL Season 1 Code S.
Welcome back to Code S. So far, we had Rogue take down Nightmare 2-1. We had a really nice game in Game 2 there. And then Zoun took out ByuN 2-0. I think Game 2 was pretty reasonable. And now we're going into that winner's match. It's going to be Rogue going up against Zoun. I mean, obviously, Rogue should be the favorite here. But Zoun is strong. Zoun is looking good. I worry because his strongest play by far in this matchup, without any doubt, is Void Ray-based play into like Sky Toss. That's where we've seen him really excel in the matchup, even though he uses a lot of like adept play and stuff too. We normally don't see him succeed with that as much. So I'm wondering what he's going to show here against Rogue.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I mean, Rogue definitely always the favorite, but Zoun, you know, he's, I think, become from the years past of kind of being like, oh, it's Zoun, he's new, what's he like? He's so established now. He's a real threat. He's a real contender to be a GSL champion. We're going to get a taste of modern PvZ post-patch now with Rogue and Zoun on Hardwire.
2022 GSL Season 1. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Rogue. Alpha X, Zoun.
Yeah, I am wondering because if you recall the last few times we've casted Zoun in this matchup, like he'll win like a really nice or play a really nice game with like Sky Toss, and then he'll do like an Adept all in, and it just won't work. And we were talking a lot about that last time. But now, you know, Void Ray nerf and all, like we've seen like what Classic go for Void Ray Sky Toss. It may still be possible. But not entirely sure. I'm excited to see like how he's gonna go about this.
Well, he's always had a different handle on Protoss.
Yeah,
Seems
he
that's
plays
always
very
been,
differently.
It's kind of been a feature of all the good Protosses is they're a little bit different from each other. And that's not to say that all the other races play exactly the same, but I think sometimes Terrans especially kind of have to all kind of form a certain way of approaching the game, whereas I think Protoss...
There's more overlap with the other races than there is with Protoss stylistically.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
for sure.
You're definitely right. It's hard to put it exactly in words without... Like, you don't want to...
I don't want to make it
like
sound
they don't have their styles.
derogatory.
It's not, but yeah, they...
I think it's because of the tech tree that Protoss have at the start.
Yeah.
You can have these wildly different branches in the builds.
Yeah.
And Zoun's always had his own kind of approach to this. You know, you talked about Void Rays, but I think Disruptors.
Yeah, for sure. Adepts. He loves Adepts.
Yeah, he loves Adepts. Now, the Void Ray has been nerfed, but, you know, whenever anything gets, you know, nerfed in one way or the other, it's like, well, sometimes people have a tendency to be like, they're never going to be used now, or they can't be used, or, you know, nothing can be done. But, I mean, let's see.
I mean, the Stargate's coming. I think if you make a Stargate, you are going to get at least one Void Ray. You know, it's not nerfed so bad that you can't get one to kill Overlords.
It's
play
fine
a little
to
bit
sweep
of
with
defense.
it, yeah.
Yeah. I think very likely we'll see some Oracles. The way that he's rallying that, it's pretty clear he's going to make a Void Ray first. But yeah, the big question is, will he actually go like 2 Stargate Void Rays after his third base and go into like carriers or something like that, or is it just going to be that sweeping Void Ray?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about, because, you know, the first Void Ray can kind of be like a lights out unit where you just kill off the scouts, and then you say, okay, now the observers and the casters and the viewers get to see what my real plans are here. And that could be a lot more Void Rays, or it could be, you know, a hard shift and it's just a bunch of Adepts, or, you know, all the different ideas you could have encapsulated on a Protoss currently on 2 bases.
Look at that shield battery right off the bat.
Yeah, like a preemptive shield battery.
Yeah. I don't hate something like that. It's interesting to see it though, right?
I was wondering if maybe he just gets canceled after the Overlord gets
that's
killed,
what I was.
where
Yeah.
it's like you make this and then you stop it, just so that, like, if they had ideas of attacking in, they wouldn't
It's
do it.
possible
But
that he did that. No, it looks like it did finish. I can see it on the minimap. Hey, air attacks.
yeah, so this seems like it's going to be a commitment to amass more air units, but we don't have more being made right now. We've got the Void Ray. We saw the Oracle graze by the screen headed to the south, and it's going to be more Void Rays, at least for now.
And yeah, with that Forge coming up, it makes me feel like he's going to start +1 as opposed to getting that for cannons, because you wouldn't want cannons this early. Yeah, look at that. Twilight and the Robo coming up as well. So yeah, this is actually, it's a little bit hard to read, right? This is somewhat original here, because he's making 1 Void Ray at a time and getting +1. You know, his Zerglings always eventually run up and check the core, so like +1 can be a red herring in some ways. And I mean, it could just be that he says, you know what, let's make like 4 or 5 Void Rays, and if you make a certain number of Void Rays, obviously +1 air attacks is going to be bad, and you know, if a game goes really long, you're going to go into carriers anyways against Zerg. You don't have to go Void Rays into carriers. You can go ground units into carriers. So it's not that expensive. I mean, it's just a good upgrade. But seems reasonable, right? Like, I mean, without transfuse
like
off
this.
creep, you're never going to die to a push if you have like 3-4 void rays, right? Like,
I think so. I mean, it basically keeps you safe, and it allows the game to extend out further on. I really like that hatchery snipe over there. It seems like on this map and all the matchups, there's little ways to get behind that base specifically, top or bottom, and kind of take a jab at it. In that case, getting that hatchery when its HP was very low, it's an excellent kill. And this, honestly, unless Zerg decides to do something really aggressive, should be a slow game. And I think Zerg's going to try to do something aggressive. We have roaches and eight morlings coming out here. We saw 16 earlier.
yeah, he does have that +1 melee on the way as well. Here comes the Spire. I think he thinks that it's like straight up some sort of sky toss, but it's really, really, really not.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so he sent the queens here. Now, you can't transfuse off creep, but you can have overlords make creep. And so,
I like it.
you know, we talked about this in, I can't remember if it was Group A or Group B, but basically the idea is like, oh, you thought this was patched out, I'm going to play a little bit differently and do the exact same thing.
But look at this. He is throwing down a lot of static D there. Shield batteries, I'm sure there must be a cannon or two being put in there as well. Stasis ward waiting, some Archons being made. Decent amount of voids in here as well. All right, Stasis catches a lot of those lings.
Gets the stun on the lings, but the queens are going to come forward here, and now comes the creep being dropped. And so this is like a huge moment to attack in here. I mean, it is not clear that
Oh! I love the attempt, but misses it, unfortunately.
Yeah, doesn't quite hit the mark there. Now he backs up, but there's 13 mutas inbound here. So I don't think this attack is done yet.
I like the tumor being there, by the way.
Yeah. Well, he's got a really nice foothold over here. Well, he did until that observer helped him take the creep tumor out. But basically, Rogue is about to try to really go hard here. 15 mutas hatched, 30 lings inbound. He's going to keep making mutas too. 6 more coming, +1 air is on the way.
Yeah.
And I think he's hoping for kind of a lopsided defensive army here from Zoun. Maybe one that's going to be a little bit okay against lings, but not equipped to really deal with the mutas in the air.
Well, Disruptor Void Ray does not deal with Mutalisks, not at all.
Archons are fine against mutas, but of course you can just avoid them entirely. And he's going to go straight into the main.
Yeah, oh, and I saw Zoun's face as those mutas flew in. He was completely shocked and unhappy. So really, really, really not ready for this, unfortunately. Rogue is actually attacking into the Archon Zealot right now with his Zerglings. So, I mean, it looks like he will end up losing those. Maybe not the greatest engagement right here by the mutas. I feel like he's giving Zoun a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, he definitely wanted to go with the trade there. Now, there's more mutas coming, and you got to bear in mind, I mean, all these mutas could just come from the larva. I mean, as long as you can afford it, you can make it when you're on this many bases here. Whereas if you're going to make, you know, air units, they're only going to each come out of 1 Stargate. So he's getting 3 Phoenixes at a time. But I'm worried that the defense right now here from Zoun is getting a little bit brittle. Zealots are coming out here to counterattack, and they're being met with lings. And unless we can really start to see these Phoenixes generate a threat, and I just don't know if the math is going to be there for the number of mutas that are hatching out here.
Yeah, if like he already had range or something, maybe, but on these numbers, it's really hard. The mutas are putting out so much damage right now.
Yeah, and now they're going to go to the source here, take out the Stargate, and he could even go up here and maybe unpower this one Stargate up here as well. I mean, this is pretty rough. Takes the battery out, a cannon finishes. Maybe this is going to be enough to help him defend. Gets that cannon, gets the pylons.
It's excellent micro from Zoun. No question there.
Yeah.
But the Mutalisk flock is so gigantic right now. It's really difficult to play against.
He's stopped range here.
Yeah.
So, like,
huge.
He's basically going to try to overpower what is supposed to be the counter to the Mutalisk here. You know, he's going to try to actually just basically bludgeon the few remaining Phoenixes. There's no way to get more pylons up here in the air. And now it's down to 3 Phoenixes, and I feel like Rogue has really pulled off like a masterclass game of actually beating Phoenixes with mutas. He's like, no. I have got this down to a science.
He really caught him with those mutas. Like it was kind of a ground pound force that was made by Zoun.
Well, I think it was also a ground pound all in faked out by Rogue. You know, when the creep tumors came down there, it's like he just had lings, and the queens are there, and you know, we
that's a really good point.
We casted right into that too. I'm like, well, Artosis, you could try and fill now. Watch out, gamers, and then like 50 mutas come out, and I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was a very well done game from Rogue. Huh. I like that. I liked the ideas from Zoun, but let's not forget, like, he did not really have a lot of scouting going on the map, right? He was just making voids. It's not like we saw hallucinations flying around or an oracle going around figuring out what was being built.
Much, no.
So it was a little bit blind, and I like the idea overall, but mutas seem to be the perfect counter against it.
Well, we're going to go to Berlingrad for Game 2. It was a fun early game, but Rogue really crushed it at the end. Let's see what happens in the rematch.
2022 GSL Season 1. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Rogue. Alpha X, Zoun.
A little hatch block going on. Nothing really out of the ordinary, though. Rogue will just bypass, make his hatchery at that third.
Cool game from from Rogue back there.
Yeah,
it was very impressive.
You're right. Like I like the speed overlords coming for the possible transfusions. I mean, he didn't really commit that much into the attack. Just some lings, some queens.
No, he just like put everything there and ran away. And I think that's one that would probably be worth going back and looking at again.
Yeah.
Seeing like just how much did Zoun actually overreact?
It's a little bit of an older Zerg tactic too, right? Like, especially when you're going roaches to kind of fake. I don't know if you recall, but there was like this big era, like 5 to 6 years ago, where it would be like there would be some ling roach over on your side of the map, and the only way you could really tell that it was going to be muta is there would just not quite be enough gas spent with the army. You know what I mean? They would like really make it look aggressive, and then it would be mutas suddenly.
Yeah.
And so you kind of had to read what you weren't seeing with the army. It's like, why are they being so in your face with this? Like, and I think you can take the same type of idea there, where it's like, wait, this is like 20 to 30 lings and like 8 queens, and then they just back up. It's like,
he drops it immediately. Yeah. I mean, it's a funny thing, because when you're scouting in StarCraft, you know, you're always looking for like, oh, it's a proxy. Oh, I don't see a layer. You know, whatever that is. Okay, it looks like he's going to upgrade Charger Glaives or you know. But then there's these moments where like you see queens walking on the middle of the map, and you're like, oh!
Yeah.
And you have to like, you know that, you know, as fast as StarCraft 2 fights go, like if you don't actually do the next couple inputs that are the most important things that have to be happening in that moment, like making batteries, like setting up your army, like just confirming any other upgrades before you have to focus on this fight at your third, you're going to lose. And, you know, there's ways to basically take advantage of that. Is that someone like Rogue can do, where he can basically disguise a whole army movement. And by the way, those queens, they were not, you know, larva injecting. They were not doing a lot of the stuff they could have been doing, but the ruse was more important than having, you know, mechanical completion of all other things that they could be doing back in the base. And so, you know, but bringing that play in the game, and then blindsiding the Protoss with mutas and swaying the fight so hard that then all the Stargates are shut down. Cool way to win.
Yeah. Now, Rogue going for a completely different way to win. He has a lot of lings and roaches coming across the map. Just saw the first Void Ray, so obviously that's not bad for Zoun that he has a Void Ray out here. Let's see what Rogue can get done with this attack.
So he's looking for overlords. Oh, he turns away.
Fleet.
Because these lings.
Yeah. That's an excellent bait right there. It's just pulling him to the side.
Yeah, he's going to come back. Whoop, you going to get me?
This is like a 2-base carrier opener, by the way.
Yeah, well, I don't know how this is going to fare. I don't know how this is going to fare against all these lings and roaches here, Artos. As a force field comes up, but not blocking out anything that's important. All the lings are going to get through.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very quick victory, it's looking like, for Rogue. Unfortunately, Zoun not with many units there.
Yeah, Rogue knows how to kill him. All right, you going to kill that pylon? Will I get the completion that I need in my life?
Yeah, he even sees that this was kind of a sneaky build here. 2 Stargate with the fleet beacon. And Rogue, I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? That Nightmare actually had, I think, a better series against Rogue than Zoun did.
That was crazy. That was... I feel like we barely got to get into the series, you know?
Yeah, that one was a bit anticlimactic there, unfortunately.
Well, I feel like I was still processing that cool play from Rogue in game 1, and then in game 2, he's like, watch this.
Yeah.
Zoun's looking around like, where'd my watch go? And he's like, my wallet and my phone are gone. And then he realizes that Rogue is already in the round of 10.
I think Zoun still has decent shots to get out of here, though.
I don't think that series is representative of where Zoun's going to be in the rest of the games here today. We know he beat ByuN. Nightmare is the underdog. I do think Zoun does have better PvP than Nightmare.
Yeah.
I know I'm very brave for going out on a limb with that one, but
that's wild.
Sticking to my guns.
Say that.
Andy's back, and we're going to have an interview now with Rogue. Andy, take it away.
All right, so the first player to move on to the round of 10 today is Rogue, and we're going to have an interview with him. Congratulations. Thank you. And there was no upset today, and you have faithfully landed in the round of 10. How do you feel? Well, the system changed, and you know, I used to always start in the round of 24. And now that the groups are hard, you know, I have the motivation to try harder and practice harder. And now, now that I'm in the round of 10, it feels like I'm closer to victory. And you played the Ravagers and the Mutalisks so well in the series. So I want to hear the background behind that. You know, I've been watching Dark play, and then I've been trying to learn from him. And hence I used the strategy today. And I feel like today was a very good timing to use the strategy on stage. Alright, let's talk about the women's match. There was no danger in the series. And today, you had one loss. And ironically, it felt like you could have won the game, but you lost the game instead. So what was that about? You know, when the game ended, you know, I think it was just me like putting my guard down. You know, I consider the enemy to be going for the all-in when I saw the Phoenix, but I think that was my failure. Alright, let's talk outside the game now. So the GSL's best Zerg Rogue, and you have made it to round of 4 in Iron Katowice. And you couldn't go to the finals this time, so you must be really sad about that. You know, when I saw the round of 4 brackets, I felt like I might be able to go to the finals, and the schedule was quite tight. And personally, in order for me to beat Cyril, I know I need to go through thorough preparation, and I wasn't able to have that period, and hence I lost. So are you fully confident in the GSL full league system? You know, before there used to be always players in my group that I was fully confident that I would beat. But now I feel like that's not true anymore, so I'm gonna have to practice harder in the meantime.
이 독보적인 위치에서
I mean, Rogue, you've
계시는데요.
shown like a
올해
phenomenal performance in
시즌 1, 2,
GSL.
3 중에서
in the past.
언제쯤 우승하겠다 좀 예언 한마디 해주신다면.
And do you think you'll be able to
이번
win
시즌
this
1이
season?
제가 우승할 수 있는 제일 좋은 것 같아요.
I feel like this season, season
왜냐면은
1 is gonna be my
스카이토스가 없어져가지고 거의
my
그래서 이제 좀 약간
potentially
실력
the
싸움인 것
easiest for me
같아서
to win
열심히만 하면은
in this season
이제 좀
because the
무서운
Protoss
게
is
없다고 생각해요.
not looking so good right now due to the recent nerfs.
밸런스 패치 관련해서도 질문
Let's talk
하나만
about the balance patch
드려보겠습니다.
now.
프로토스 선수들이 GSL 10강에 프로토스 한 명도
So
없을
not a
것이다.
single Protoss player has
프로토스,
landed in the
이런
round of 10 so
이야기를
far.
하시는데 좀 어떻게 생각을
So
하세요?
2 Zergs and 2 Terrans, and now you joining the
프로토스
round 10 as well.
지금은 전 적부전이 토스가 더 좋다고 생각해요.
I feel like the
근데
ZVP, the Protoss is
연습을
favored,
하면 할수록 저우가 좀 더 좋아질 거라고 생각을 하고 있어요.
but I do feel like in the
이번 시즌
the late game, the Zerg gets better.
저그전은 그래도 많이 이길 것 같고 저는 투저전보다는 투태전이 토스들이 더 어려워한다고 생각을 해가지고.
So personally, I think the Protoss they find it harder to face Terran players instead of Zerg players. So that's what I think.
자, 이병렬 선수의 10강 진출 역시 이변은 없었습니다.
There was no upset today
마지막으로
in Rogue's
한마디
advancement to the round of 10. So before you go, anything you want to say?
손쉽게 올라가서 열심히 연습을
You know, today has been quite an easy road to round 10,
부터 이제 또 이제 GSL 결승까지 열심히
and
연습해서
I will try hard
우승
from
꼭
the round
하도록
of 10 to the finals
알겠습니다.
in this season of
다시 한번
GSL.
10강 진출 축하드립니다.
Once again, congratulations, Rogue. Thank you.
네, 이렇게 이병렬 선수와 계속해서 이벤트
Oh,
안내해드리겠습니다.
it's a lot easier to keep a straight face when you got a mask on, isn't it? Oh my God. That's...
We were laughing during that interview.
Woo! Not only is Protoss favored against Zerg, but Protoss are more afraid of Terrans than Zerg players. Let me write that one down real quick. Okay, so Rogue advances.
The Zerg Illuminati are putting that on the new dollar bill. That's impressive. All right, well, we have our first survivor of the night. It is Rogue moving on, but we've got 3 players left, 2 Protoss and a Terran. I think it's probably going to be between Zoun and ByuN. I think most likely Zoun, but we got to see how Nightmare is going to fare here against ByuN coming up next.
Yeah. Luckily, he's... Well, unluckily, I guess. He's more afraid of ByuN's Terran than Rogue Zerg, so I guess we'll see how that goes for him.
We got a break, guys. We'll be right back.